Hey everyone, welcome to my channel, Love Them Well. I was at family camp last week. It was very fun. I got to read a lot and it was wonderful. During camp, I made a list of my favorite books per genre, pretty much every genre I could think of, and what I think the best book I've read from that genre is. For some of these, I have listed the author, like that is the best author for that genre that I have found. So I thought I would share those with you today. I don't think anyone gets better with rom-coms than Katherine Center. If you've been around my channel, you know that she is my favorite author. I love every one of her books. I completed my collection this year of collecting all of the books that she's written, and I've read them all. They're wonderful. I do recommend if you're going to start reading Katherine Center, start with her newest ones, and then you'll appreciate her first ones even more, I think. I read The Shippers, and I think it's the best book I've read this summer so far, but my sister's borrowing that. So I just brought a couple of the other ones over here to my table to show you. Katherine Center, best rom-com. Historical fiction, I think anything Kristen Hanna is really good. They're heavy. These are heavy books, and I don't always like to read heavy. However, the reason I put her as my favorite historical fiction author is because I feel like I've been to the places that I've read about after reading her books. So this book, The Women, is about Vietnam. I feel like I've been there. I feel like I got to see a look into what that was like to be in the Vietnam War. And that's pretty cool to read a book like that that really puts you in that place, makes you feel for those characters. Best historical fiction author. Then I was thinking, what about just romance? And so I put Abby Jimenez as my thoughts for best romance author, but she could probably be considered rom-com. I just wanted to definitely share her as a good romance author. Her latest one I read at the beach with my niece, Whitney, and it was beautiful. My sister has it right now. So good though, really good read. It is open door, so I do skip those scenes. Most of the time when I'm reading books that are open door, I skip through those, but I don't feel like it's a situation where you shouldn't read it at all because they're just really fun. Like you'll enjoy every moment of reading these books. These are great beach reads. Science fiction. So I don't read a ton of science fiction, but I did read Project Hail Mary this year, and it was amazing. One of the best books I've ever read. Every moment of it was fun, and then the ending just was the best. I actually made a whole video about it. I'll link it below, but I loved it. Then my husband read it, my son read it, and the movie was amazing. So if you want to have a fun goal for the summer, you could read this book and then go see the movie, and it's just a really fun story. For young adult novels, I really like The Hunger Games. I don't love the sequels that come after it, although the newest ones are pretty good. They're just really sad. And this book too, it's kind of a weird concept. I'm sure you know it, but why I put this as best young adult novel that I've read is because people who don't like to read wind up reading this and really like it. So I just think that says a lot, and I enjoyed this very much when I first read it, and I've read it a couple times since. Best biography ever is Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand. Such a good story. I cannot believe it's real. And just every part of this book was phenomenal. The things that this guy overcame. I have felt very inspired since reading this for all that this guy went through. And it just has such a great story. And again, it's real. So that's pretty phenomenal. She did a great job writing it too. I don't recommend the movie. I watched the movie and thought it focused way too much on the torture that this guy went through and not enough on how many other things he did. I mean, yes, he went through a lot, but they really focused on the negative. There were so many uplifting parts in this book, and I don't think the movie did that justice. So definitely recommend the book, not the movie. Best autobiography. I don't have it. I'd like to own it, but it is written by Tom Felton, who is Malfoy in the Harry Potter movies. And his book is called Beyond the Wand. I loved that book. It was so good. I also made a video about that one. I'll link it below. Such a good story, so well written. I was very inspired by his story, and I enjoyed reading some behind the scenes about Harry Potter and the making of those movies because I love those movies. I love those books. It's the best autobiography that I've ever read. Best series I've ever read, I might as well say now, is Harry Potter. My mom gave me this book when I was in 6th grade, and I was just mesmerized by the world, by the characters, and I've read this series a couple different times. Even for our honeymoon, we wound up going to Harry Potter World because it opened the year that we got married. So we were going to go on some fancy honeymoon. And when I heard about the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, I was like, hey, do you think maybe we could go to Universal Studios instead? And he was all on board for that. So this is just such a fun series. I have such good memories of reading this in the summertime because they would come out, right during the summer. And just good memories of sitting in my childhood room reading these books. Best series. Best just general fiction, The Help by Catherine Stockett. This book is so good. This book was the first book I read that did multiple perspectives very well. And I just loved the story, love the movie too, so do them both. And then just to celebrate this book this summer, my family and I made fried chicken with the recipe from the book. So there's a scene where one of the ladies makes fried chicken. I think her name was Minnie. Minnie makes fried chicken. She uses Crisco. So we got some Crisco, which I actually had a kind of a hard time finding. But we made our fried chicken in it, and it was delicious. Then she never wrote another book until now. She has this. This is what I'm reading right now. And it's called The Calamity Club. It's very good. Same feel as The Help, but I don't know that it's anything related. I have not looked up anything about this book because I wanted to be completely surprised because I love her first book so much. Best self-help book, I think, is Don't Overthink It by Anne Bogle. If you don't know who Anne Bogle is, she runs the website, The Modern Mrs. Darcy. She does a reading list every year for the summertime. It's so much fun. And I loved this book. Make easier decisions, stop second guessing, and bring more joy to your life. This book has helped me in times where I have needed to make big decisions, and it's just really good. It's like she read my mind and was like, hey, I have something that can help you. So this is a great self-help book. Best books of essays, I think, are written by Shauna Niequist. I love reading her essays. I hope she comes out with something new soon, but she does have a Substack that you can read. And this book is so good. It's called I Guess I Haven't Learned That Yet. I've read it several times, and every time I read it, think, wow, yeah, I still haven't learned that in life yet. And then sometimes I'll see a place that I've grown in a certain area. And so that's kind of cool. I'll write that off into the margin. Like, wow, I read this last year and wasn't here yet, but here I am today. So it's good stuff in this book. And it's written like essays. She also wrote Present Over Perfect. And I just like her writing style. It's really good. Best spiritual guidance book, I think, is Discipline by Elizabeth Elliot. I read it all the time. Like, this book is on my shelf. I will read through this book over and over. It's very helpful for helping me be disciplined in every area of my life: body, mind, place, time, possessions, work, feelings. It's wonderful. I've learned a lot from her. And then also just another spiritual author that I think is really good is Phil Robertson. I like reading his books. He's funny, he's straightforward. Theologically, he's sound. And so this is the first one I read of his, and I loved this story. I loved this book. And then since then, I've read several of his other books, including his family's books. Sadie Robertson's books are very inspiring. My daughter has read them, and I'm reading one right now called Live. So those are good too. Best books I read in high school. One of them was The Killer Angels. This is fiction, historical fiction, based on the Civil War. I thought this book was phenomenal, so I had to get my own copy and read it again as an adult. And then also Pride and Prejudice, which is up there. Best book I read my senior year of high school for an assignment. Loved every minute of it. Best middle school novel, Ella Enchanted. Now, I'm not sure that guys would like this, but every girl needs to read this book by Gail Carson Levine. I've read it so many times in my life. This is probably the book I've read the most in my life. And it's just never gets old. It's so beautiful. Such a nice story and so well done. She also has great books about writing, which brings me to my next genre, books about writing. The best book I've read on writing is called On Writing by Stephen King. I've read it several times. Such a good book about writing. Even if you don't like to write, it's called A Memoir of the Craft. That's its little subline. It's how he writes, his process behind what he writes, and it's such an interesting story. Best classic I've ever read, and I couldn't find the copy, it's somewhere around here, is To Kill a Mockingbird. Now, I didn't read that book until a couple years ago. So my husband had read it in school. I think a lot of people do read it in school. I didn't read it in school. It was amazing. We loved it so much we even named our dog Scout after the girl in the book. Such a good story. Best classic. If that's even considered a classic, I think it is at this point. I loved it. These are my favorite books per genre, and I hope that maybe you got some ideas for some summer reading. Do you have a favorite book for one of these genres? I would love to know. You can leave a comment below, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.